Hi, I'm Lhadon.
I'm Tendor, and welcome to Our Nation.
News and analysis on the state of Tibet. This is our 6th episode. We apologize we missed yesterday, Monday. We were in a board meeting all weekend long and didn't have a chance to film the show.
And there are a few stories we're going to cover today, and one of them is protests that have broken out in Lhadon.
We'll also be talking about the blog of a China-based journalist from Time magazine.
A little quick update about March 10th that's coming up.
And SFT's featured hero of the Tibetan resistance for today is Tenzin Delek Rinpoche in honor of these Lhadon protesters.
Now, we have heard reports that on February 15th, which was Sunday, there was a protest in Lhadon. Lhadon, which is in eastern Tibet, has always been a hotbed of Tibetan resistance, and this is how many people have actually heard about Lhadon, because there have been recently, a lot of protests in Lhadon by first Ronge Adak about 2 years ago, and just now, this past weekend, there was a protest by a lone monk, Tibetan monk. His name was Lobsang Lhundu, and he was from Nekor Monastery, 39 years old. And here we have a report from Payul. It reads, around noon Beijing Standard Time yesterday, Lobsang Lhundu, a monk from Nekor Monastery, staged a peaceful solo protest demonstration at the main market square of Lhadon for about 15 or 20 minutes before being forcibly detained by the Public Security Bureau, PSB, and the People's Armed Police. And according to the source, Lobsang chanted, "Long live the Dalai Lama." He also chanted other slogans, including "Independence for Tibet," "Swift return of the Dalai Lama to Tibet," and also "No Losar." Losar means Tibetan New Year. "No Losar celebration this year." So these were some of the slogans he chanted before he was arrested and taken away by the police. According to eyewitnesses' accounts from the site of the demonstration, Lobsang, who was limping with the help of a walking stick, was forcibly subdued and taken in a police vehicle after his brief protest at the main market.
So that protest was on Sunday, and then remarkably there was a follow-up protest on Monday, yesterday, and this was led by Sonam Tempa, 29-year-old younger brother of Lobsang Lhundu, along with 14 other Tibetans, and they engaged in a peaceful protest at the Lhadon main market square at around 11:40 a.m. Beijing Standard Time yesterday. So I gather they also chanted, according to the Tibetan Center for Human Rights and Democracy, "Long live the Dalai Lama, independence for Tibet, swift return of the Dalai Lama to Tibet, and again, no Losar celebration this year." According to eyewitnesses, many of them were, quote, badly bruised and injured with blood dripping from their nose, head, and arms after being manhandled by the Chinese security and armed police that came and took them away. And I just want to say their names. They are, other than Sonam Tempa, they are Jampa Tokme, 30, Gelek Kunga, 26, Lobsang Tenzin, 23, Lobsang Pende, 37, Jampa Yunden, 30, Sangye, 29, Jampa Tsiring, 28, Lobsang Wangjuk, 30, Lobsang Tashi, 21, Genden Chumbel, 30, Darge, 37, Gendun, 29, Jampa, 40, and Amdo Genzin, 41. And they're all believed to be from nomadic families who have shifted their residences from areas around Lhadon, villages around Lhadon, to Lhadon town recently. And interesting to note that it seems there were people following that protest, two more groups of people close to Ronge Adak, the Tibetan nomad who engaged in that incredible protest at the Lhadon Horse Festival in 2007 August, father of 11 children. I gather there were people related to him or close to him amongst the other protesters in Lhadon recently. And so we're hearing that 5 additional Tibetans joined that protest. So we now have Lobsang Lhundu was 1, 15 who were detained yesterday, and then another 5 who may have joined that protest. We don't have their names, but who also protested it there in Lhadon. And the only thing I would add is that we understand that they are being detained at Saga PSB, or Public Security Bureau Detention Center, and that when family and relatives went to try and see the detainees, they could not find 26-year-old Gelik Kunga. So Gelik Kunga is missing, and they are very concerned about his well-being. And we also gather that Sonam Tempa, the 29-year-old brother of Lobsang Lundup, and another Lobsang Tenzin, 23, who participated in these protests, are believed to have sustained severe injuries after being beaten by Chinese police. So just incredible, the resistance out of Lhadon. Again and again, the people of Lhadon show their fighting spirit, and as much as it alarms and concerns us what is happening to them, I think that it also just inspires us beyond belief that the people of Lhadon just never ever give up, no matter what no matter how harsh,
no matter what the cost.
Yeah, no matter what the cost.
Coming at a very great cost to you.
It's really amazing. So, moving along to our next story. This is a blog post by Simon Elegant from Time Magazine. He traveled recently to Tibetan areas of Qinghai province, so Amdo. And he doesn't say exactly where he was, but he talks about Tibetans not celebrating the Chinese New Year, and how that boycott, quote, infuriated the Chinese authorities. And he says he'll have more on that later, and he refers to it as what seems to be a wide-scale act of civil disobedience. So interesting to note that even the foreign journalists can see what an incredible, massive civil disobedience movement this is. He also talks about his plans to travel to Labrang Monastery, or what the Chinese call Shahe, and saying in Gansu province nearby, and saying that he didn't actually end up going because he got word that foreigners were being taken off buses and turned back, and that there was essentially the areas where he was hearing they were closed, and then that was confirmed in those reports we heard the other day. So I guess for us, one very moving bit of what Simon's written is that despite the Chinese figures of how many people who died and the Tibetan figures of how many people who died in last year's March uprising, he says, whatever the truth, it's what the ordinary Tibetans believe and the rage it inspires that counts. And I think that that's just an interesting observation from a foreign-based journalist.
It's definitely encouraging to see someone go the extra mile to achieve this level of understanding.
Yes.
It's not common.
Yeah.
And looking ahead to March 10th, today is February 17th, so only a few days left before March 10th. And March 10th has always been a very significant day for the Tibetan freedom movement in the last 50 years, because originally after 1949 invasion of Tibet by China, it was in 1959 when the situation inside Tibet became so terrible and so unbearable that the Dalai Lama had to escape. He was forced to escape from Lhasa and seek refuge in India, and all of this events happened in March in 1959, and it was on March 10th when the Tibetan people in Lhasa, worrying about the life of the Dalai Lama, they surrounded his palace, and the Chinese government started attacking not just the palace but the people, shelling, and this turned into the biggest uprising in Tibetan history, 1959. And Lhadon will tell you a little bit about what we are planning this year.
Well, we actually don't have much time left, so maybe what I'll say is visit march10.org to find out this year's plans. This is an important year. March10.org is a site that we're actually currently revamping, but it will take you to a place that tells you all the plans that we have for March 10th around the world. This is the year to take Tibetan support for Tibet politically to the next level. So there'll be a number of lobbying days in nations' capitals around the world. There'll be protest marches, and we're asking people to raise the Tibetan flag this year and show solidarity with Tibetans inside Tibet who are still suffering. And again, Tenzin Delek Rinpoche is our featured SFT hero of the Tibetan resistance. You can find him on our website, studentsforafreetibet.org, and hear more about how he is a great hero to our movement. Thanks, that's it for now. This is Our Nation, news and analysis on the state of Tibet.